Welcome to our latest episode of Lore Crafts. We are your lore crafters.
Yes.
Brianna, Chloe. We are joined by our neighbors downstairs who seem to be enjoying a rousing game of Battlefield.
So if you hear some gunshots, it's not us.
But we wanted to talk to you today about shopping. We are specifically shopping for Brianna's Toph cosplay, and we're going to talk a lot about fabrics today.
Yes.
So, first of all, why don't you tell us why you decided to do Toph?
I fell in love with the series, and Toph is kind of like me. I'm extremely stubborn, so I related very well to her. I like to do my own thing and whatnot, so just her energy and her vibe really related well to me. She was able to invent, metal bedding, spoiler, and still take advantage of the fact that she can't see and use other senses in order to be able to accomplish what she needs to do.
So that's going to be really cool incorporating into the costume, and one of the things that we wanted to do was make it like a very close replica to the cartoon.
Yes.
So authenticity was very important as we're looking at this stuff, but we also wanted to make it look really organic and authentic, not like a piece of a cartoon, but like a real artifact out of that world. So let's talk a little bit about our adventure. Earlier today, we went to Joann's, which is the closest store to us, so we go there a lot.
Yes.
Found some terrifying things that people had fortunately decided not to buy. It was like discarded. Also found some fantastic things. So I think the first thing we should talk about is the pattern that we decided on.
I basically wanted to know what angles to cut for the underlining green layer, so I got a kimono pattern so that way I had an idea what's going on. I will modify this because this is not exactly what Toph is going to be wearing, but I'm going to basically go from what they are showing me.
It's a great pattern to have actually in our repertoire because kimonos are they happen a lot in character design.
Yes.
So it's one of those things, we'll be keeping that one. And you can keep your patterns. Don't ever throw a pattern away.
Yeah.
Next up we have our fabric. Brianna.
Yes.
Will you strike a pose? So for the main body, we have a beautiful green.
100% cotton.
It's actually got a great weight to it. Toph's kingdom tends to be a warm place.
Yes.
So we didn't want heavy wool or something like that, even though the wool kind of had a cooler feel and texture. For our second look, we have a lovely linen mix. It's very, very textured.
Yes.
So it'll actually be a great contrast to the green. You can see they have fantastic play together. It's not like the same kind of fabric on top of each other, which actually gives the costume a lot of depth. So that's one of the things that you want to keep in mind. Not only is it the right color and is it the right pattern, but
texture is important.
What kind of texture are you gonna, and do you need all the same or do you need to mix it? And typically for a costume, you need to mix it because you want it to look authentic.
Now, because of those two colors, I decided to go with thread that was multicolored. I wanted to add an extra dimension of kind of a hand organic feel. So I got thread that changes colors. So this one is going to go green to tan. This one's tan to brown. So hopefully those two will add a really interesting effect to the actual stitches.
It'll actually allow anybody looking at the costume to sort of see the work that went into it. So that's one thing when you're looking at thread, do you want it to hide? Because that makes it very, very smooth, very, very seamless.
Polished.
But if you want it to be polished in a way that's a little bit more
organic,
poppy, and a little bit more organic, because in olden days,
you can see the hand stitches.
You wouldn't have had exact dye lots.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make that call. The one thing with this that Brianna's going to have to really watch is if she makes any mistakes, they are going to be highlighted.
Yeah.
So that is going to be something that needs to be incorporated into the time planning for this costume. The last thing we didn't actually get at Joann's, we had it.
I have a bunch of remnants of really good leather I got on brettonsvillage.com. They are located in, I believe, Maine, and they generally have a lot of remnants that are at really good deals. So I'm going to use this as the actual leather belt, but that's going to be in a separate video. So
remnants actually takes us into the next thing that we wanted to talk to, which was shopping sustainably for all of this fabric. Fabric notions, all that, fabric and notions.
Even tools.
When you're looking for materials, how do you look for stuff? You were lucky enough to get this from like a smaller store.
It was a mom and pop shop online, and I specifically went in their clearance area and bought remnants. I don't like to buy full hides, I try to buy remnants.
Those are not always available. So we wanted to take a look at sort of how you can do that sort of sustainable shopping if you have to shop at a big box shop, or if you're just looking online and you're like, what do I get? What do I know?
Yeah, it's hard.
It is. It's a little bit hard. The other thing you could look at is
the type of fabric.
Yeah, look at the fibers that are going into your fabric. This is for a totally different costume, but this is for the Clea costume I'm working on. This is polyester, and it was exactly what I needed, but it's completely artificial fiber.
Hopefully recycled polyester?
It's not.
Okay.
But that is actually one thing you can look for. You can look for recycled fabrics made from recycled plastics. They're starting to make polyesters off of that. They're a little bit hard to find, and they tend to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're aware of them, you can look for them.
Yeah.
So the other things you're going to want to look for are more natural fibers. So the first and most obvious is probably cotton. So cotton is it's really light, it's really airy, it's an easy fabric to work with.
And this is the easiest material to find organic too.
Yeah, it's pretty common. There's a lot of European and American companies that are starting to move towards organic processing. They require less dyes, they take dyes better, and they
don't have as many pesticides
Yes.
For growing the plant too.
as opposed to regular cotton.
Yeah.
So you can look for organic cotton. You can also look for hemp, which we don't have any hemp to show you, hemp fabric to show you.
I love hemp fabric. It's great, it's durable, it just doesn't hold dye very well.
Yeah, so if you're gonna need to change the color of the fabric, probably not hemp.
Yeah.
The next thing you can look for, and they're starting to do more of this, is bamboo fabric.
Ooh, bamboo fabric.
Bamboo fabric tends to be really soft.
Yep.
It takes a lot less pesticides than cotton, but it takes a lot more chemicals to process and get it actually down to fibers.
Which is kind of like when you buy recycled paper. If you buy 100% recycled paper, more chemicals went into recycling that paper and brightening it white than would be if it was a 50-50, 50% recycled and 50% regular paper.
The next thing that you can look for is linen. Linen is another organic compound, which we have a nice linen blend. Linen comes from flax, the flax plant.
Like flax seeds, but the plant.
It also takes less pesticides than cotton, and it tends, most linens have they're not quite as smooth as cotton, so you might be a little bit limited in what you can use it for. It's a little more heavy.
And that's why this is a blend, because this is a linen and a rayon blend, so this is a little bit softer.
The next thing you can look for is organic wool. That you can actually get locally a lot.
Yes.
You can get wool from sheep, you can get wool from alpacas, you can get wool from rabbits.
Yes.
Lots of animals here give wool.
Yes.
It's very hot. It does take dye pretty well.
It does.
It's just a different kind of dyeing process than typical fabrics.
Yeah.
Drawback with wool, or advantage with wool, it's very hot.
And itchy.
And it does tend to be very itchy. So if you're using it for fabric, you definitely want to have something that's lining that fabric, because otherwise it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And for those of you who have allergies to animal dander of any kind, you want to be careful with wool, because that can also aggravate allergies. There's a lot more to know about sustainable fabrics, and if you actually just go online and Google it, you can find a lot of information. But that's sort of what you can look for if you're wanting to build something that's a little more organic, a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
The other thing you can look at in those stores is the remnants boxes.
Which is so much fun digging through. It's like trying to find a treasure in there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit hit and miss, but if you go often, like you're just going on your, like I do after work, I'm just like, I want to see if they have what I need. You can get fantastic fabric for super cheap. It's not always enough.
Yep.
So you kind of have to balance that out and be careful with what you're getting. Be sure you know how much you're getting. But you're getting stuff that would otherwise be thrown away.
Yes.
Shop the sales. Any store that you have is going to have the sales. And in fact, we brought this home from Duran's. We're not sponsored by them or anything.
No.
We just are there all the time.
Yes.
They have fantastic sales. Michael's has them, Hobby Lobby has them, whatever is in your area. Get used to looking at their website and looking at their apps a lot, because they change these kind of on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
There's very little reason for you to be buying fabric, thread, any of that stuff at
Full price
unless you're in a real time crunch.
Yeah.
So join us for our next video. Brianna's going to be showing us how to put together the core tools you're going to need for putting together your cosplay.
All right. That would be funny.